we typically don't do this in a call meeting, but I think we need to start with prayer with everything we got going on. So let's pray. Our precious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to live here in Hart County and be citizens of the United States of America. We thank you for the many men and women overseas who are defending our country, both past and present, as well as their families. We thank you for the many men and women in law enforcement in uniform, EMS, first responders, fire, for their sacrifices of protecting us, especially in this time of uncertainty as we move forward and develop plans. We ask that you give us wisdom to make the right decisions so that we may ensure the safety of each and every citizen of Hart County. Of course, in your name we pray. Amen. Just felt like that was appropriate. This time I'll call to order the call meeting on Wednesday, March 18th for the Hart County Board of Commissioners. We put together a broad agenda, but we were going to break out some individual things, and then we'll discuss those topics as we move forward. We probably could have argued that we could have invoked the emergency meeting clause in the open records, open meetings laws, but we didn't in the spirit of transparency. So there's a lot of things we want to talk about, and I'd like to just go through and list them and put together these bullet points in the agenda, and then we'll approve the agenda, and then we'll get started. So one thing we'll talk about is courthouse operations. Senior center. Solid waste transfer station and convenience center. The administrative building here, administrative offices. Did I miss anything, Terrell?
Yes.
Recreational.
We'll briefly hit the public safety side, EMS, law enforcement.
Oh, no, that's the tax assessor's office too.
Tax assessors, elections.
Board of Elections.
Right.
I'm gonna put library on here too, even though they've already made a decision. And we'll talk about that more later.
And rec department.
Number one.
Recreation.
Okay.
And then we need to talk about the CDBG block grant for the Water and Sewer Authority. Walter, did I miss anything that you need to cover?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think those are the general areas. We'll need to, of course, kind of feather into it, talk about open meetings. And I can tell you that the Open Records Act request is going to be, the courts are going to alter the way the Open Records Act responses are handled for the time being.
Okay.
The 3-day rule will not apply for a while.
Okay, I'll go back over these, and if I miss anything, please let me know. Courthouse operations, senior center, solid waste, transfer station and convenience centers, administrative offices. I'm gonna put 911 on here too. Tax assessors, elections, library, recreation department, and then the CDBG block grant for the Water and Sewer Authority.
When you say public safety, a while ago?
Well, you'll catch the EMS 911, just it's generally for all of them. All of them got the same mandates about what we're doing.
If there's no other changes, could I get a motion that we approve the agenda as amended?
I make a motion we approve as amended.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sayer and a second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Before we get into this, there's been a lot of work that's gone on behind the scenes. A lot of time spent on conference calls. Terrell has done a tremendous job in this, and amongst everything else in running the county, preparing for this. There's a lot of things that's going on. We felt like tonight we needed to get some actions in place because things that this board can address, as well as this gives the public an opportunity to see what all we have done, actions were taking place, the media's here, the meetings on YouTube. So everything's out there. I wish we could say that this was not going to be changing. It's constantly evolving. Every minute of every day there's some kind of change coming out. I do want to say up front, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the whole board, I'm speaking me personally, and I want to say this because there's business owners out there who are very concerned right now with what's going on. I've had calls asking, are we considering a curfew? Are we considering making businesses close? To my knowledge, this board has no intent of any of that. I just want to go on record, and if anybody else wants to speak on that, you're more than welcome to. But this board has had absolutely no discussion on anything of that nature. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that that message is out there, because there are business owners who are struggling right now. You look at some of the restaurant business, they have made decisions to change the way they operate. They made those decisions themselves without any involvement or any mandates coming from this board. So I just want to make sure that that's out there before we get started, because we do have a lot of things to do. We got a lot of responsibility on our shoulders, and we will always be measured by how we handle this. We're not going to make everybody happy. There's going to be some inconveniences, but we all got to man up in the end and be responsible adults and do the right thing. So with that being said, we'll start with courthouse operations. We've got our probate judge, our magistrate judge, our clerk of court, and our tax commissioner here with us. I've spoken to some, and I know there's some concern about closing the offices and continuing to operate, but just closing the offices so that there's a barricade or there's for the safety of all involved. Legally, we can't close the courthouse, but we can leave the courtroom open and then have the constitutional officers shut their doors, keep it locked, and you guys can manage your business. And I don't know if anybody wants to say anything. Thomas? You can? You sure can?
First off, I'm here with concerns, and I've come tonight along with, thank you. I've come this evening along with the other constitutional officers. I've come to be informed, and I've come to inform. As our governor has declared a state of emergency, the Supreme Court Justice has, along with our Chief Superior Court Judge. But I just want to inform the commissioners. First, I want to thank Terrell Partain, our county administrator, for all the great efforts that he has put forth tirelessly, along with our IT tech, Lisa Cartley. She's done a tremendous job around our offices. But I've come to inform, and mostly just to inform you, that we have let the public know that our office is open and the courthouse doors are open. We cannot close our courthouse doors. I've been informed of that. But we just want to inform the public that many of the non-essential duties of my court can be done online. They can be done on in-court, easy file, things of that nature. The essential job that my court does, I do issue all warrants for all law enforcement, and I do first appearance hearings or bond hearings, as they're normally called. But I've just come tonight just to listen, to be informed, and to inform the commissioners of that. Thank you for this called meeting and for allowing me just to share that a little bit with you. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Joey, just to echo Thomas, we haven't locked we're still open. I've reached out to attorneys, abstractors, bankers, offered them e-filing access. We've set up temporary passwords to allow them to work from their offices, their homes, if they don't want to come to our office. But we are open. We're kind of pushing folks out in the hallway, and I put a little thing on Facebook just reminding everybody about that. Try not to offend anybody, but if I can get them out in the hallway, we can talk to them out there and deal with them in the hall. But we have reached out to the attorneys. If you haven't heard from us, or if you're interested in getting that website, get with me and I'll give it to you. It's free, and you got 200 credits, print credits, up until April 13th, until this judicial emergency order runs out. But I think I speak for all four that we haven't locked and we're open for business.
Okay. So as far as an action that this board would take, I think it would be appropriate that we do limit access. And if anybody has any objection, you guys would be kind of be expected to communicate to the public what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're handling it, because obviously the offices do have to remain open. And you know, we're not in the constitutional officer business, so that's why. But we want to support you in that, and we want to make sure that all of the employees as well as the taxpayers are all protected, because you know, there's a lot of unknowns. So, could I get a motion that we allow the constitutional officers to close their offices and communicate to the public as need be in the operations and how they're conducting business?
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Teasley, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Sayer. Any more discussion? Public comment?
I got a question. Are all of y'all doing exactly the same thing?
Similar. Each.
When you say close,
We allow you to, yes,
the Supreme Court judge has sent an order there, and I cannot lock my room.
okay.
I have
But you can you can keep your door closed and put a sign on
It
it.
stays closed daily, but we were advised by the Supreme Court that we shall not lock our door. It has to stay unlocked.
Okay.
So
That's my understanding of the ruling. You can-
I didn't know that.
You can restrict entry, but you can't lock it.
Do we even need to,
Do we even need to do anything then?
we don't really need to do nothing, do we?
Well, we're in the process of putting up warning signs for the public, explaining the situation, try to call in first if you can't handle it over the phone, and then let the departmental people work out when they want to see you and how they want to see you. And we're trying to put everything we possibly can online where they can get to attack. But, again, they run their departments, not me.
Right.
But, you know, we are taking those steps, doing everything. Mine, just reading the ruling, Frank, you're talking about, that's my understanding too. You can't
Okay.
just lock the door.
we put up signs Friday afternoon, just, tell them if you feel like you got the flu or whatever, please don't come in.
We'll support you on that.
Guys, I got a lady expecting, and I got a lady with kidney issues. And I got one that went home yesterday with virus. So, I'm a little concerned about the immune system of them and the public that's coming in. But Supreme Court says my door has to be unlocked. And I think I speak for Mary, hers too, and matters to at the moment.
Okay. Well, let's just, if we could, just withdraw the motion and second and amend it to just support our constitutional officers in their efforts on that.
I can make it to support our constitutional officers.
I got a motion and a second.
I'll second.
All right. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. So,
Chairman,
yes, yes,
I
sir.
would like to invite any commissioner, Carol's always in our office as well as Lisa, but you're always welcome to come by, talk to me, my staff, or call me, and we can share as well. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Moving on to the senior center, Terrell and I talked, multiple things going on here. We got Meals on Wheels there. We got seniors who come to get meals as well. We talked about just basically shutting everything down other than the meals. Has anything changed on
Yeah,
that?
no. Basically, what we've done is shut the public traffic off into the center itself. We'll still serve the meals. If they can drive to town, they can drive, swing through and pick up. The ones we're picking up with the van, if they need the meals, they'll take the van, take the meals to them. And Lisa's actually personally talked to every one of these people. Before we done this, because we backed up and punted right in the middle, we were gonna do one thing Friday, do Monday, Tuesday, the world changed and we had to do something else. So, none of that will stop. Lisa's made arrangements with the Meals on Wheels folks. If they gotta be shut in for a couple of weeks, they get something, those meals will be brought out to them still, even if it was under, set quarantine or whatever. But other than all the staff's working, the door is just public access is
What about public heart transit?
it's the same way. The only thing, they're screening all those patients, all those riders, and that's limited to elderly people that's got a doctor's office appointment, people that need to go get their groceries, no visitation kind of transport. Avita's still shut down out there. That really is the bulk of the transport right there is Avita patients. That's shut down. Avita's shut down, so that takes a load off the transit. Did I miss something?
So the recommendation would be on the senior center.
Just to
activities.
restrict public traffic in.
All right. And how long do you want to do that?
I would say give it 2 weeks and let's see where it goes, and we may have to do something different between here and that time.
March 31st, be good. That's 2 weeks from yesterday.
March 31st?
That's kind of what the date everybody else is using.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll have to reevaluate all this stuff pretty much on a daily basis.
So could I get a motion that we move forward with that on the senior center through March 31st? As a caveat to that, if something were to change, just empower our county administrator to make whatever administrative decision he needs to make, just let us know.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Carter, second by Commissioner Teasley. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously.
Hey, Lisa, how many meals are y'all delivering? Do you know on the Meals on Wheels?
Right now, we have 58 clients.
58. Okay, thank you.
Next one I had down here was solid waste, transfer station and convenience centers. This one's going to be a challenge. The reason being is some of our employees are in the target groups, as well as right now our solid waste transfer station is open till 7 o'clock during the weeks, just like the other convenience centers are. And then it's open till 2 on Saturdays. And I don't know, I mean, we talked about just closing those, but it's going to create an inconvenience.
Like I said, the other idea we kind of threw around was trying to get some kind of, whether we could block off and the reason we're worried about that, like I say, most of the operators are in the high-risk group, and that's the last thing we want to do, get some of these people sick. We discussed somehow putting the bags outside and let the people get the bags and leave the money outside where the person there would come face-to-face contact. We're going to look into something like that first, and I need to talk with them. I'd like to get their opinion. If they don't feel, these are fairly older people, and if they don't feel comfortable with that, we may have to just shut some of them down and let people go to the main transfer station or something. I don't have a real good plan for that one at this point.
See, I mean, if we were to alternate our convenience centers as far as operational standpoint, split them in half.
Yeah, that'd be something to look at too. But I just hadn't had time to sit down and talk to Greg and his staff about what's the best thing to do.
Some of them might have a good idea how you could do it.
That's exactly. And y'all keep telling me what a good job I've done. I appreciate all the job each looking on. I called them, I said, tell me what we need to do. They work out the details. They know their people, and together we make a decision.
So at this point, there's really nothing ready to discuss on the convenience center, so could just get a motion that we empower our county administrator to give him the latitude to implement the policy needed.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Sayer, a second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment?
I made the
No.
second.
Y'all tied.
Didn't
All in favor,
we?
raise your
Again,
right
how about
hand.
flipping a coin right quick?
We're gonna flip it.
You made the last one, so I was just helping him out. Now we move on to the administrative offices down here.
Okay, down here, on that end of the building, that's public safety, EMS 911. All public traffic is denied. Nobody, no outside person can go in that door. Even between the two departments, 911 and EMS, which is side by side with a common doorway, there should be little to no back and forth between that door. Everybody has been instructed, when they come to work, bring them enough clothes in their car for about 3 days, because those positions have to be covered. And that's not, we're not unique in that one. That was kind of a sort of a state suggestion coming down the pipes. I think the sheriff's office is doing the same thing. I don't know about, not about the 3 day worth of stuff, but as far as the sign on the door about the public, if you can do it by phone, let's do it by phone. But the public can come to a certain spot, and as far as they can go.
And this is outlying stations too, right?
Correct, yeah. EMS station the same way. And we try to discourage as much as we can, the station 1, 2, going to station 3, and them co-mingling. We're trying to keep everybody, well, if one crew gets something we got to take out, we can take it out 2 or 3 crews. So that's it on substations and all. On this end of the building, on the permitting and addressing, that gets the most foot traffic through the door. We've got most everything where they can do it online now, but they either have to know how to save it and email it back or print it and fax it. We're looking at some software that they can just file it and not have to do all that, where it makes it a lot less cumbersome for them. We will take credit card payments for it. We take credit card payments for EMS. We already got the account. There's no extra expense in that. We went through it with the bookkeeping to keep it separate if we can do it. So really, unless there's a question, most all that stuff can be done online and by the phone. So those are able to do that now, but we're trying to make it easier on folks. This end, thankfully we don't have a lot of, my office gets more foot traffic than anybody else. But we try to, we're getting the sign ready to go for the front door. Sending is basically the same thing. Give us a call first if we can work something. If we can take care of your problem with a phone call, we'll do that. If not, we'll arrange to meet with you somehow or another. That pretty much covers the general government. Well, we're getting the other pretty quick.
Your permitting here could be done if you set your paperwork outside and let somebody take it and fill it out and bring it back and drop it off.
Yeah, well, they can already print it off website and have it filled out when they get here if they got a printer.
Yeah,
But
if they know that.
But that's why, huh?
If they know that.
Well, we got to get the word out, because we making so many tweaks and changes. We won't be sure it works before we go advertising it. But that's where we're going, and most of it, all but the final click of the software, for not having to either email it or print it and scan it and fax it in and all that stuff. The worst ones are going to be transportation permits. That's where we need so many documents brought into us. Building permits for a regular house, the main document we need is from the health department. Lily can email those to us electronically, and we don't have to throw them in. But we're still working, scratching our head a little bit on the transportation permit. Addressing can be done online. All they got to do is give us a parcel number, and we'll tell them to mark their driveway when we go out from that, and never really have to come face to face with anybody on those things.
Okay. Really nothing we need to do there, right?
Sir?
Anything you want us to do there?
I don't think so. Again, the public and taxpayers pays our salary. We got to figure out a way to serve them, and we'll do it as safe as we can, but we're still going to be able to do it in the county.
Yeah, we want to do the least possible damage we can to commerce.
Correct. Yeah, we really want business to keep going.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on down to tax assessors. They put together their own thing today. They sent it out to us. I didn't have a problem with it. I don't think anybody else did. I thought it was good. Can I get a motion that we approve that one?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Say and a second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next one was elections.
Basically, the elections has done the same thing. I got a sample of their
Okay.
information there if y'all want to, but it says basically the same thing.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve that on the Board of Elections.
Have a motion by Commissioner Teasley to
I'll
approve.
give you a second.
Second by
What
Commissioner
exactly
Carter.
are we doing? What exactly are we doing?
It's, again, same way if we,
Same.
getting people not to come in, until they can make sure they can't hand it over the phone or whatever.
Are they suspending voting?
Yeah, the state done that.
It's already been done.
I just
State
wanna
took
make
care of
sure.
that.
So the state that can suspend any of our return times, right now is a busy time for the assessor's office. And you've got returns, you've got people filing for exemptions, homestead, conservation, a bunch of different things. All these forms are online at Department of Revenue's website, and we're gonna have a link to attach to our county website as well to those forms.
Okay.
I was just going to speak to the elections issue. The state has determined that the March primary is kaput. It's going to be held in May, and that advance voting is stopped as of now, that those who have already advance voted, their vote will be counted, it's all fine. Those votes will be isolated under secure circumstances. They'll be video monitored, and those votes will then be pulled out for count at the time that the next election is held. Am I right about all that? And I think to the extent that I'm familiar with how they're handling that, it looks to me like it's going to work. And, you know, certainly we, just speaking on their behalf, they don't want anything that they do to discourage voting. You know, it's an absolute and cherished fundamental right.
I have gotten notice that the state will be mailing out absentee ballots statewide for the counties to encourage that, but that does not mean there will not be any in-person voting later, but that is what they're encouraging on.
And, you know, hopefully the general public will take advantage of that to cast an absentee vote. It's just as valid and it's just as countable as coming down and doing it in person. And especially those folks like me who are in the target group by virtue of age or immunocompromised. And that, you know, it's everybody, and once this election actually is held, hopefully by then we're going to be in a much more stable position, and there'll be less going around. But everybody does need to exercise their own good common sense and know that the voting machines will be disinfected periodically through the day. I think maybe after each vote. It probably will take a little longer because of that, but if everybody will just be patient with it, you know, I think that's the main impact on the election is, aside from the shifting of the March primary to May, I think the main impact on elections is going to be the people are just going to need to be patient because there may be processes that take a little time, like disinfection.
Hey, Walter, can you go ahead and touch on how to get the absentee ballot?
The state will send those out to everybody, every registered voter. Pardon me? Oh, they'll send out the applications to every registered voter, so you won't have to do a thing to get the application. Once you get the application, you'll need to fill it out just like you do in any normal year. I think what the state will be doing, or may already have done, is to expand the class of people that qualify for an absentee ballot. and basically it will be everybody. You know, it's not going to be a circumstance where you're out of town during the day or something like that. I mean, it will be a voter choice to make. And the more people that apply for absentee ballots, I think the better everything is. That does create a much greater burden on the Board of Elections staff to process those applications. It could very well be that they may find that they need some extra help, just looking at it down the road. But I still think that it was probably in a lot of people's best interest to take advantage of that opportunity to vote by absentee.
Thank you.
And again, if you've already voted, that's not a problem. Your vote will be counted, just not on March 28th.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Teasley, a second by Commissioner Carter, that we approve what the Board of Elections is posted. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. The next one is the library. The library board made the decision that they were going to close yesterday at 2 o'clock. We found out about that after the fact, which I have a huge problem with. The fact that we fund that operation $77,000 a year. But we can discuss that later. I did have a conversation with Richard Sanders yesterday about that. But they've made the decision to close, so I guess we need to ratify what they've done. Could I get a motion that we...
Just for a point of clarification, Mr. Chairman, what I had understood is that they were going to keep at least the skeletal staff there, that it would be closed, but that it will be open for checking out e-books, digital books.
That's correct.
And that computer services will continue to be provided by the wireless access from the library parking lot. Now, you'll have to bring your own computer.
Right, and the school board's also got that as one of their, or school system as one of their Wi-Fi locations as well. So, can I get a motion that we ratify the library board's decision?
Yes, sir, I'll give you the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Sayer. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next one is the Recreation Department. There are several groups that do square dancing and other activities. They've all ceased.
Yeah,
their
they've all
activities
self-canceled
voluntarily.
themselves.
From a recreation standpoint, I don't know if there's anything much else we
I
would
would
do.
say the only other thing we would do is we're probably not going to allow any more scheduling until this is over.
What about Hydra?
Not operating at this time.
So really no action needs to be taken there.
No, I don't.
Is it posted on the doors down there that, you know, that they can't do that right now until the end of the month or something like that?
Posted on what doors?
No, they have to check. They volunteered on their own.
Okay,
They called and notified us they wasn't going to do it.
okay.
Just as a matter of information, Mr. Chairman, the Little League has
Yeah, I was
been
gonna mention
canceled their opening day for this Saturday. I know it was announced from here. I think we ought to, as a public service.
I was gonna mention it.
Okay.
But that is right.
What about Barnes Academy?
They have ceased operations.
They have
They're-
ceased too?
Yeah, they're totally out of school as well. And right now, we don't even know when Little League's gonna have opening day, if they do.
Yeah, if they do.
So that's a big concern.
Well,
for-
it looks, they don't even know when sports is liable to continue again.
That's right. So that brings us through all the county departments. Is there any more that we need to talk about that we missed?
What about fire?
Fire's already been taken care of, the meetings have been canceled.
Basically, fire, what they're doing is most of them cancel their regular every 2-week meeting until it's for a week or two till this happens, see what's happening. I'm taking steps on the first responders program. They won't dispatch out first responders unless it's something they can actually do something about. We don't want them to run into places and getting infected for no reason. So, and we're still tweaking those guidelines. There's a lot of people involved in that whole, you got 911, you got the fire, you got EMS, you got a lot of people involved in trying to come up with what'll work best and keep those guys and girls safe.
Does somebody have questions?
Yeah, just clarify on the court hearings. We canceled the jury trials, March 23rd, 27th, March 30th, April 6th. We do have one the week of April 13th. We're going to push it to April 14th to see how this order does. But to let everybody know, even though we cut out juries, we still have a court. Just want y'all to be aware of that. TPOs, emergency hearings, these are things that we have to do. And I speak for Superior Court. I'll let Thomas and Mary speak about theirs, but like yesterday we had court, we had bond hearings, we had to do it. Parks White, Chris Carroll set up a video, was able to do it, not transport anybody. Tomorrow morning I have civil motions, I have TPOs, and some emergency hearings that we have to do. So the judges are looking at this case by case, 3 judges, and they'll decide what comes in for civil motions. But even though we don't have jury trials, we still have cases going on, and I'll let Thomas and Mary talk about her.
What about those folks who got jury summons for those cases? Are those, how's that going to be handled?
They're excused. I've run an ad on Facebook. I've run it on local radio stations. And I'm basically handling it week to week, not to confuse people. But if anybody calls and they got one mailed to them for April 6th, I'm going ahead and letting them know that they're excused. They don't have to worry about it. Because we mail out to the right now. But again, April the 13th week, that was still a go. And if the order goes away, we're going to have trial that week.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Well,
Magistrate Council, we have rescheduled April court dates and such as over into the next month of May, depending on where we're at with the COVID-19, and we'll go from there. But we have been suggested from our superiors to do the same.
okay. Mary?
Probate court has been rescheduled. We were actually scheduled to have cases today. Those are going to be moved to April. Certainly depending on what we have going on between now and then, we will reschedule again if necessary. We are still active and we're still open. We are doing only the things that are mandated that we do. We are not able to issue any firearms permits at this time. We want to make sure that everybody is aware of that. The Sheriff's Department cannot do any fingerprinting down there for us. It is state mandated that those are suspended for 30 days. However, if yours is coming up for renewal, there's going to be a 30-day window on that, so don't get nervous about it. We're still going to have time to get you in and get you taken care of.
Okay. Okay, anything? Okay, all right. Lisa, if you'll come forward, please. I'm sorry. Let everybody see you.
I didn't think about this earlier, I'm sorry. With our building, we do have it scheduled for rental for the next 2 weekends. Do we need to cancel those?
I would.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know if you want us to put that form of a motion.
Yeah.
So we'll be the bad guy.
Yeah.
All right. Can I get a motion
Right.
that we cancel these meetings
So
at the
moved.
Senior Center through the 31st?
Do the 31st, okay, because we do have something coming up in April, but we'll discuss that later.
So, motion by Commissioner Carter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously.
Who'd you have it rented out to, Frank Gray or somebody?
No, not this time.
All right.
But while I'm here, I would like to say, we have reached out to all our congregants, as Darrell has said, and we are going to be talking to them on a weekly basis. We've let them know that if they need us, we're there. And also with our home delivered, we're also going to be on phone contact with each one of those. So if they need anything that we can provide for them, we're going to be there to get it to them. And, letting them know that transit's still available if we need to get them to the grocery store, doctors, or anything like that. So we'll be in contact with each of our clients on a weekly basis.
Okay. We appreciate it. All right, anything for anybody, other county departments? Jim?
I know what Terrell said about outdoor facilities, is y'all want to include pavilions for family reunions? We have several that are rented coming up.
between now and March 31st?
We've got some coming up. Yes. All other reservations have been canceled.
I would think,
I would call them and just remind them of what the federal mandate is about the size of the crowd. And preferably they'd make their own decision.
I just don't know how big a crowd they would have.
and if we need to address it, we got a meeting Tuesday night, we can address it Tuesday. Okay, thank you. Anything else on?
Yeah, well, we hadn't discussed the road department or any road maintenance issues. How's that gonna be taken care of?
They're gonna be business as usual. I've told them to cut down any face-to-face meetings, so no call. I appreciate if y'all would call them, say you need to go talk to so-and-so about their pothole. Won't be out in the fresh air all the time, and if we can keep the face-to-face down, that's about as good as we can do with the road department. But again, I told them no face-to-face meetings, do it, we can call them on the phone or whatever, but don't be up in somebody's face.
One other thing too.
Just to chime in, you know, my office is a private office, private law practice, but to the extent that I serve as county attorney, it does have public implications, and while I rarely am visited by anybody, unless they're really mad at one of y'all, or Terrell, or me, or many others. But while I'm rarely visited, I do want to say that we are will be available to anybody by our telephone number during normal business hours, and for the most part, my office will be there, but we are limiting admission. Y'all can come if you want.
As long as we're not sneezing.
Yeah, remind me.
Sneezing's okay, coughing's bad.
Well, before we get away from this, Terrell and I have talked some this afternoon, and we can take care of this next week. He's gonna be reaching out to get a backup possibly in place in the event something were to happen.
Talking about me?
Yeah.
I already done.
Okay, just so they know.
Yeah,
Everybody
just,
knows.
I'm pulling an old rusty Dan Jurgen out of retirement. If something happens to me and he can come in and help me, that's about what we're gonna do. If we need him, if I need him, we'll call him. If we don't, we won't. But he came in today and I got him set up with everything he'll need in case I fall out tomorrow. Somebody can take it right over and keep on going.
In emergency management.
Merchant management, correct.
That's right.
And in this kind of cases, that job's more important than being a county administrator. And that's why I want him looking out for my backside so I didn't miss something I should have caught. So it's better to have a couple of sets of eyes on stuff instead of just me I'm doing good to write an addenda with somebody talking to me and read.
I just want to make sure that we got that word out there too, because there's been a lot of things going on and a lot of moving parts. And then I'm gonna ask you, Terrell, just for the general public, if we have a confirmed case, kind of walk the group here through how that would be handled. Okay,
well, as of this afternoon, the testing procedures, you got to be checked by your health care provider, whoever your doctor is, or Ready Clinic or whatever. But let me get the word out to the public too, what I've said before, and what's absolutely a must. Don't just pop in to a physician's office, to a Ready Care, to a hospital ER unannounced. Call ahead. They'll have a procedure in place to meet you and keep you safe and keep the other patients safe. It's real important for people to do that, to call before they go. If you've tested, the physician has to order the test, and it depends on where they have you tested at. We're notified today that each health district is going to set up one drive-up testing site in each health district. There's 10 districts over the state. That may be in Gainesville for us, whatever. They didn't give out the exact locations yet. But the way it works is the physician has to evaluate you over the phone. He can be over the phone. He has to fill out their computer program. They evaluate the doctor stuff, and they say, okay, it qualifies to have a test, or it don't qualify to have a test. And then if it don't qualify, the physician finishes up, and it goes on. If they do qualify, they're issued a number to take with them to that check site and they'll pull the test. And if they hit positive, the patient herself is, then it becomes strictly a public health issue, same way as with TB or anything like that. Public health takes over the overlooking of that patient. If they need to be hospitalized, the hospital does the hospital stuff. As far as the quarantining in place, self-quarantine, the health department takes care of all that. They do the checking on all that. They keep up with it. They keep a check on the patient. And by far, the most of these positive are at home in self-quarantine. If they don't have a problem, if they want to separate from their family, the state has, should be by Friday, if my count's right, about 40 campers. They've got 9 at Hard Labor Creek, and I think they put 26 at G-Stick, Forsyth, that they should have ready to open up Friday. So once they're diagnosed and you got a positive on them, they come under the control of the state. So the state is, if they can't stay at home, the state has places for these people to go and we'll wait out there 2 weeks or whatever it is. So that's kind of the way it works. And I want to stress too that everybody don't need to be tested. If you got a dry cough, severe sore throat, fever, call your doctor. Call your doctor. The doctor won't going to make a decision whether or not you fit the criteria or have a need to be tested. There's still regular flu out there. There's still strep throat out there. There's still cold, sinuses. There's still all this other stuff out there. Your doctor's got to try to differentiate that from possible corners. So now, before anybody gets tested for that, they got to have a negative strep test and a negative flu test before they even consider the corona test. So it's not a quick process. It's a 3 to 4 day process to get a result back on the test. So everybody's talking about how many tests been done. It just showed right there, there have been 1,500 tests performed in the state of Georgia so far during the whole thing, 1,500 tests. And out of that, we had, was it 219? I'll put it back up in just a second. And for people that want the real accurate information, go to the Georgia Department of Public Health website. They update it every day at by 12 o'clock every day with every county, how many cases in each county, how many deaths, age groups, all that information there. For God's sakes, don't get it off Facebook. The Facebook call, and I have no idea why anybody would want to put stuff like that out there to try to cause a panic. But 99% of what you see on Facebook is false. Go to the CDC site to find out what you need to do. Go to Georgia Public Health site, see what you need to do. And don't panic. Take care of yourself, take care of the others, but do not panic.
Whenever me and you talked Wednesday, was working on them trailer sites down there at Forsyth Wednesday. They probably got them up and going.
Yeah, they're supposed to be up and running by tomorrow. What is today?
On the call yesterday with Governor Kemp that we had, he reported that the case that had been at Hard Labor State Creek, the individual had fully recovered and was back at work yesterday.
Correct. And that's what's not getting out there. The folks that's getting it, staying in the quarantine times, by far the majority of them is getting there long enough for whatever symptoms they may have to go and have 2 negative tests 24 hours apart, and you go back to life. That's the whole deal. We hear about the horrible bad ones. Boy, that makes the news. But the other ones nobody ever hears about. That's really the mass amount of people.
How many people recovered ought to be in them statistics as well.
Well, you don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go there.
Okay, anything else? We're going to cover this community development block grant for the water.
Can I go kind of quick go through what we can do if we cannot have people in this room and have a meeting?
Yep, we need to. This will be an event that we'll continue to have meetings. This is an alternative way where the public can participate. We can do it electronically.
And everybody in business is familiar with the app. It's GoToMeeting. I mean, it's not rocket science. I'm not sure I'm smart enough to operate it.
That pretty much cuts me out then.
Nothing gonna screw up the short world, does it every time. But,
He's got the flickers.
what we'll do is we'll set a meeting up on GoToMeeting, and on our website, we'll post a I'll set up the meetings and go to meetings side of it. And what it'll do, it'll give an ID number, that meeting ID number. We'll post that meeting ID number on the website. This will take up to 250 people on at a time. And anybody wants to meet, they just go to the meeting app, click on it, and download the app on the computer, phone, whatever. They go to meeting, they just type that meeting number, ID number in there, and take them straight to the meeting. They can hear, they can see, if they're on the agenda, they got something they want to talk about, we can say, well, they can talk back and forth. But that's Plan B, C down there. Now, I'm paying for this, so if we need to use the department heads and folks, it's not gonna cost us any more. So when we're busy and we need to all get together, let's be the way for it.
So this coming Tuesday will be here.
Yeah.
As far as we know, unless something changes. But with this suit, with the press, will this work for them?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can.
I mean, we can record the whole meeting on here too.
But it'll still be videoed.
It'll be broadcast on YouTube at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
Again, we gotta carry on business regardless.
Absolutely.
And believe me, this is the most open board of commissioners or county you'll ever find, trying to keep out public information.
But you'll be able to view the live stream of it, and so will anybody else in the world with it. You know, if they can touch it.
I hope we don't come to this, but I gotta have something set in place if we do.
Backup plans.
And basically, back on that other note, one more thing now, there's the website that is the accurate, true and accurate information as of that time of day. It's on, all you gotta do is just go to the main website, there's a link on it on the front page. This updates every case, every county, how many of each county has got a positive, all the way down. Now, since this one came out, I think we've seen on the news, I think we had 2 more deaths in Albany. But so tomorrow, they'll probably show 3 deaths instead of 1. But if you have to know the people in the public, come over and get the real stuff. Don't make up or hear this and think they're, hear 1, thought they heard 10. And that causes tremendous amount of panic to the public. And there's no need in it. That's all.
Okay. The next item is a community development block grant for the Water Authority. As part of that, I have a conflict of interest in it, and I've got to read a statement.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, if I might just say that
Okay.
this is, on a highly technical level, a conflict. It is no substantive or material conflict at all. There is a requirement, though, with federal, in connection with federal procurement processes or procedures, that this be disclosed, and that you will not actually undertake to vote on it, and that the vice chairman will sign any documents. But I want to stress to anybody that has access to my words that this is not a material conflict, it is not substantive, it's just it's a coincidence. And it's the same thing that's happened before with another commissioner, and it was done the same way.
So as required by federal conflict of interest regulations, I'm publicly disclosing that my father-in-law and mother-in-law own and live at 115 Akins Lunsford Road in Hart County's proposed FY 2020 CDBG target area number 1. The target areas were not yet determined when the Board of Commissioners passed the resolutions to apply for the CDBG funds. Since that vote, the Hart County Water and Sewer Authority, the project engineer, and the grant writer worked utilizing the county's comprehensive plan and the Hart County Water and Sewer Authority's plans to develop a project that would be eligible for CDBG funding and meet the greatest need in our county for clean water and fire protection. Therefore, I was not involved in the selection of the proposed target areas. Additionally, I will abstain from voting on any future issues concerning this project if it is funded. Further, I will not sign any of the CDBG application forms or letters, and the Vice Chairman, Mr. Marshall Sayer, will be the authorized official signing the forms. That's it.
No. And you'll be signing that letter.
Yep. All righty. We just wanted to get that taken care of because this is moving forward. Is there anything else that we need to address tonight? Public comment. Anybody have anything you'd like to address the board with? If not, I appreciate everybody's time. This is an ongoing moving target. Hopefully we won't have any cases and life goes on, but we'll continue to monitor this very closely. We will be communicating and putting out information. And our next meeting will be Tuesday night at 5:30. 6, that's right. I'm sorry. Thank you. With that being said, if there's nothing else, can I get a motion that we adjourn?
I'll make that motion and we'll adjourn.
I have a motion by Commissioner Teasley, a second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously.